I always thought betrayal would come like a thunderstorm, loud, explosive, impossible to miss. But the truth? It was silent. It looked like my wife smiling across the dinner table while lying straight to my face. And by the time I uncovered the truth, I didn't just get even, I ended everything. If you've ever had someone lie to you so convincingly it made you question your own reality, then buckle up. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around, because this isn't just a story of betrayal, it's a masterclass in revenge. Way back in the early 2000s, life looked simple. I had two young kids, 4 and 6, and a wife I thought I trusted. We weren't perfect, but I believed in our family. Until one day, I started noticing cracks in the foundation. It started small. Our kids would talk about spending the day with their grandparents, my wife's parents. Nothing weird there, until I realized they lived 90 minutes away, and she was taking them there 2 to 3 times a week. That's nearly every day she wasn't at her part-time job. I asked her about it. She lied, clumsily. Her words didn't match her eyes. They danced around the truth, but never landed on it. And worst of all, I wanted to believe her. But something inside me said, don't. That voice, the quiet gut feeling, it doesn't scream. It whispers. And if you ignore it too long, it gets quieter until you forget what the truth feels like. So, I did what any suspicious but heartbroken husband would do. I started tracking the mileage on her car. She was driving an extra 400 miles per week. 400. That wasn't running errands or taking the kids out. That was a second life. And I was about to find out exactly what it looked like. One day, I sat down at our old computer, dial-up, AOL and all, and there it was. A sticky note beside the keyboard with her AOL password written on it. I stared at it for a moment. Felt like I was standing at a fork in the road. One path led to blissful ignorance, the other to war. I logged in. What I found shattered me. Emails between her and her college best friend, casual, even gleeful, detailing how she was regularly hooking up with one of her high school exes. They even joked about his wife, mocking her weight after pregnancy, like she was some punchline. I printed those emails. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because when you're betrayed like that, you don't just feel anger. You feel hollow. You feel like your skin doesn't quite fit anymore. Like you've been rewritten in someone else's story as the fool. But I wasn't going to play the fool. Not this time. That night, I called an old friend of mine, a cop. Told him just enough to keep things subtle. He recommended a guy who'd left the force to become a PI. Enter Ron. Ron was the kind of guy who didn't ask a lot of questions. He just got results. I handed him the emails, told him what I suspected, and within 2 weeks, I had a report in my hands that felt like holding fire. Photos, dates, times. She was dropping our kids off at her parents', meeting up with her ex for lunch, then straight to a rundown motel for a few hours of betrayal. Then, pick up the kids, smile, and come home. She was playing happy family on the outside while living like a teenager in heat behind our backs. But this isn't where the story ends. This is where I took over. I hired a divorce lawyer. No screaming, no drama, just quiet, calculated legal action. Because I knew the cost of staying. My parents had cheated on each other, and the fallout wrecked my childhood. I promised myself I'd never let my kids grow up in that chaos. But I wasn't done yet. I asked Ron, "Can you find out more about the guy she's cheating with?" He did. His name was Bob. He was married, 3 kids. He worked as a VP of sales for his father-in-law's company. His whole life depended on his wife's family. So I made one last request. I had Ron prepare 2 more copies of the PI report, and on the same day my wife got served with divorce papers at her job, Ron met with Bob's wife. She was devastated, shocked, but there was a flicker in her eyes, like she was already planning her next move. And man, did she deliver. Bob's wife didn't just confront him. She cleaned out their joint account, took the kids, moved back in with her parents. And once her dad found out, Bob was fired from the family business. And since the house they lived in belonged to her parents, evicted. His whole life, gone, in less than a week. Their divorce? Ugly. Public. Court records showed restraining orders, screaming matches, police reports. At one point, he even got his nose broken by his brother-in-law. Served him right. Last I heard, Bob left the state. No job, no family, no house. Just a cautionary tale with no forwarding address. And his ex? She took over her dad's company after he retired. Total boss move. As for me, the divorce went through. Clean. Quiet. I kept things civil for the kids' sake. Never badmouthed their mom. Never started fights. But once they were grown, I stopped talking to her. Entirely. I don't hate her. She's their mother. But to me, she's just someone I used to know. Funny how that works. Sometimes revenge isn't about screaming or throwing punches. Sometimes the sweetest justice is giving someone enough rope and watching them hang their whole fake life with it. They say karma takes its time, but sometimes you just need a little push. All it took was a password on a sticky note, and I burned their double life to the ground without ever raising my voice. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, drop your favorite revenge moment in the comments, and hit subscribe so you never miss a tale of justice served cold. And remember, if your gut says something's wrong, trust it. It just might save your soul.